to the Invahiment Company podcast, the show made by music enthusiasts for music enthusiasts.
What's happening, y'all?
What's up, everybody?
I'm Ashton.
And I'm KP.
And you are watching the Invahiment Company music podcast, the show made by music enthusiasts
for music enthusiasts.
That's right. That's right. And we are almost to the end of 2025, but boy, what a year! What a year it's been!
What a year!
You know, it's been taking people away from us. And so yesterday, the late great bassist Anthony Jackson has made his transition from this earth, and but just to see such an icon go, it's never. I mean, even though you see it coming, it's just never easy to deal with. You know, no matter how obvious the transition or how near it may be. But I know for me, I first heard his name when I was about 13 years old, I want to say, because Dave Weckl, again, going back to Dave Weckl, who was the first drummer I knew by name, played on the Anthony Jackson played on Dave Weckl Master Plan album, with a couple of tracks, tracks like Here and There and Garden Wall, and those. So he was the bassist on that. But as I got more and more into his career, I noticed that he was doing a lot of, pop and R&B stuff, back in the 70s and the 80s. So I know he produced two albums, particularly by Chaka Khan, What You Gonna Do For Me and Naughty. Now, there's actually a lot of backstories to his production in Naughty. And I'll actually read this since we're at it. So Naughty, which was recorded in New York in 1979, went on without concern for the bass tracks. But Anthony Jackson, he was given the absolute authentic license with one exception in an unheard of amount of time. So he literally had like weeks turned into months with him actually producing this album. So to recompense the bass parts were upon the producer, Arif Madrin, of his readiness to record. His words were, I was given all the studio time that I required. I never found out how much my indulgence cost Chaka Khan, because back then with records, they all had deadlines. And, if you didn't get it done by a certain time, there was a big possibility that the record wasn't going to finish at all, or which if the record didn't finish, it wasn't going to be released. So it definitely cost Chaka Khan time and money that for extra, studio time. But he said the end result is as pure as an example as it exists. In his case, it was all a means to an end. So. And then, but if you listen to that, that Naughty album in particular, I think a couple of my favorite tracks are Clouds and Papillon, a.k.a. Hot Butterfly, which is actually my favorite Chaka Khan record. But then, and I'll say this too in regards to Anthony Jackson's his career. There's a saying that says, the more you make yourself available to things, the less valuable you become as an artist or a musician. I kind of beg to differ, because Anthony Jackson, he's pretty much had his hand in a lot of, production and a lot of credits, producing and bass playing, from, again, Dave Weckl, the great drummer Dave Weckl, to Chaka Khan, to OJs. A lot of the OJs for the Love and Money, which he produced that track. And then like you guys saw in our trivia game from last season, as I was saying, that was kind of like the first time a bass player used a guitar pedal, like an electric guitar pedal effect for a bass line. So that's why you hear the distortion in it, and then, less tone. So yeah, definitely the OJs. And then a Japanese pianist by the name of Hiromi, which I love her music. If you guys don't know anything about Hiromi, a great jazz pianist out of Japan, y'all go ahead and get hip, because Anthony Jackson, he puts his foot bass wise into those records. So yeah, y'all go check them out. But I mean, my whole point is, with all that he's done, he's had his hand in a lot of production and a lot of credits as a bass player, and really, the more he availed himself, the more valuable and known he became, really. So, I mean, technically I get why people say that, but I mean, in my estimation, I think the more you avail yourself as a musician, it just adds on to your credits, really. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Your credits and, it gets you out there. Like you said, it put him out there. And especially if he you work with integrity, you're masterful at what you do. Like, you're here to give away the gift. You know what I'm saying? And that sounds like is what he did. He lived his life, giving away the gift that he was given.
exactly.
And that's amazing. Also pioneering the 6-string bass.
Uh-huh.
Like, we gotta talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Why should a bass only have 4 strings?
Exactly. So he was saying, like, with the 6-string bass, he's saying the bass is a part of the guitar family, not the violin family. Even though, I guess, cello is a part of the violin family, but that's like the big upright bass with only 4 strings. But electric bass, it just, I mean, if you really think about it, it does make sense for an electric bass to have 6 strings, especially if a lead guitar is going to have the same amount. And, so I think he actually partnered with this one gentleman out of New York by the name of Ken Smith. And I guess in the mid to late 70s, they started pioneering 6-string basses. And then over time, especially in gospel music, as, the 80s and 90s rolled around, gospel bass players were actually using, a lot of the Ken Smith basses, like Reggie Young out of New York, who played with Hezekiah Walker and James Hall. And then, again, Fred Hammond, when he was with Commission, and he was actually, when he went solo, he was the one playing bass on all of his solo records on the RFC. And that was his custom made Ken Smith, which he got made for him back in 1985 or 86, something like that. So yeah, definitely the Ken Smith bass in all genres, but specifically in gospel, made its mark in that field. And that's thanks to Anthony Jackson, who actually thought of the bass guitar being 6 strings instead of 4, like they normally, like it typically was. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. And then to know he did What You Gonna Do For Me by Chaka, which is my favorite Chaka song. So that's him on bass on that track?
Yeah, sure is. That whole album, actually.
So let me just, yeah. So What You Gonna Do For Me by Chaka, that has to be probably one of my top favorite bass lines in a song, period. Like, when you get to them last, 16 bars of the song, like, what? Like,
yeah, he goes ham, bro.
Like, he goes... Like, yo, incredible. Like, to this day, it's talked about. Like,
yes. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, absolutely insane. So, definitely a pioneer. Definitely a genius. Yeah. Like,
the one thing that always bothered me is that I don't think he got the recognition that I felt he deserved. I mean, especially when you think of, again, OJ's and Chaka, in their heyday,
legends.
like when they was really putting out the stuff,
Yes.
he was the man behind all that stuff. So it kind of, it's crazy that not, of course, in the musician community, everybody knows who Anthony Jackson was, but really, maybe I shouldn't say this, but
Here you go.
I'm not going to compare him to like Dr. Dre or Dilla, but if I had a Mount Rushmore of music producers, Anthony Jackson is definitely on that list for me. Just because of now that I'm aware of, since I've become aware of everything that he's done in R&B and in jazz, it's like how can you gloss over any of it? So
At all. But that's why we're here. To keep the legends' names alive,
Yes.
like, these are people that cultivate, these are people that innovate, these are people that inspire the generations, you know what I'm saying? Like,
for sure, yes.
So, Vehement Company is going to always give flowers. And I mean, I'm super happy if you guys go check out season 1, episode 9. We talk about him, we give him flowers. We, so you watch this show, you're going to hear about the legends and how they've pioneered the way. So,
and I'm glad you actually said that too, because with AI being, because we talk about, artificial intelligence like creeping into the music business, he made such a prophetic statement with not allowing, the machine to outplay him.
Right.
That he was
Back
that he always
then.
wanted to be, even back then in the 80s, like he was already thinking that, hey, the machines are here and it's only going to get, more and more prominent as the years go. But he really made a stand to actually, to not let the machine outplay him, to always be a step ahead of it.
For sure. So rest in power, Anthony Jackson, a pioneer.
Oh yeah.
Your music will live on for sure.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah.